Hey guys, Andrew Miles from Andrew Miles Intuitive here to talk to you today about a question that is actually asked by a lot of people, and that is, can I have a spiritual experience if I can't visualize? And the short answer is absolutely yes, you can. Now, we're going to go into a little bit more depth about this today with discussing all 6 of the Clair senses, and I have my notebook here because I always forget the names. So basically there's 6 senses that you can have that are Clair senses, and they mirror, 5 of them mirror the 5 natural physical senses that we have. They're just a inward expression essentially of these outward senses, physical senses. And then we have a 6th one, which we'll get into as well. So to start off with, we have clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, which is what people talk about visualization, and they can see with their third eye or their inner eye. That's seeing images and such in your mind. Clairaudience, which is clear hearing, which for a lot of people this would be that you can't necessarily, you hear something audibly to you, but no one else necessarily hears it. Clairsentience is clear feeling, which could be like when you touch something, you feel it in your hands. You could feel it throughout your physical body in any way, shape, or form, hands, arms, etc. But it doesn't mean that there's actually an outward thing that you can see that is causing you to be able to feel this. Clairalience, which is clear smelling, which same with the other ones. There's nothing there creating the scent, but you can smell something. Clairgustance, same. You're not eating or drinking anything, but you have a taste in your mouth. And claircognizance, which is the 6th sense that we were talking about here just shortly, a short moment ago, which is literally clear knowing, and that's just having a knowing in your mind of the answer to something without having any explanation as to why you know, you just do. So now that we've listed all 6 of the Clair senses that you can have, we're going to talk about each one of them individually. So to start off with, we're going to start with Clairvoyance, which is, like I said, a very common one. It's clear seeing. That's what people talk about when they can see images in their mind, in their mind's eye, in their third eye. A lot of people experience clairvoyance as seeing videos in their mind, like video images, like kind of like watching on a screen, except that it's in their mind. Like you close your eyes and you can see it clearly moving in your mind. Same with pictures, a clear picture. A lot of people also just get basic images in their mind. A lot of people who are mediums can get an image of a loved one or another spirit, etc., in their mind, and then they can describe it to you. So this one is really common. It's not necessarily the most important one. They're all important in their own right, and they all have their benefits, etc. The second sense that we're going to talk about is clairaudience, and that is hearing things that might not be actually there might not be any noise around you, but you can hear something audibly yourself within your own ears. So some people will call this tinnitus, and there are obviously people who do have tinnitus, however you want to pronounce it. I know the difference between tinnitus, and having clairaudience because I played music for many years in bands, and I've experienced what the tinnitus sounds like, essentially, and it is not the same thing. So when I experience clairaudience, I hear ringing in my ears at certain pitches, right? And depending on the pitch that I hear in my mind, or in my ear, I should say, is basically tells me what kind of spirit is around me. Also, I've had experiences where I will literally hear someone say something like my name or give me information, and there's no one there. So that's not explainable if there's no one there, other than either I'm nuts or like I'm actually getting information from an outside source that I'm tuned into. And a lot of the times when this has happened to me, it's not been like crazy weird things where it's me hearing voices. It's usually you will hear your own voice, or you will hear the voice of a person that you know, unless you're hearing a spirit that's trying to communicate with you. And then in that case, you will hear the person, a lot of times the voice of the person when they were living. Also, there's the possibility that you will hear just like a robotic or monotone voice, and that depends on the being that you're tapping into or the consciousness that you're tapping into. There's a lot that goes into this. And by no means do I have all of the answers for this, because there's about as many explanations for each one of these things and as many ways of it being experienced for each one of these senses as there are people who experience it. So essentially, it's going to be individualized for you, and learning how to tap in and then express and tune yourself to the frequency and to the gift is going to be individual for each person. So how you do it and how I do it is different. So for Clairsentience, this is clear feeling, we're going to be discussing how essentially you feel things within your body that aren't there. And this, like, you know how when you run your hands underwater, you can feel the feeling of the water running over your skin? For some people, that's how certain energies feel. Other people, they can feel spirits around them, and it will be felt as like a cold feeling through part of their arm or their hands or part down their neck or something like that. Once again, the way that you feel and experience clairsentience is essentially different for everyone, for as many different people as there are who have this sense. When I want to tap into an energy for a spirit that is showing up, sometimes I can go, okay, I want to tap in and feel everything that this spirit wants me to know so that I can understand what they're trying to tell me, right? And sometimes I'll feel fear, or I will feel shivers run through me, or I'll feel the pain that they've been through in my physical body. Same thing goes with people who are empathic. So when you're empathic, a lot of times if you're really tuned in to someone that you know, you can feel their feelings and their emotions and their actual physical symptoms when they're going through stress or frustration or irritation in your physical body. You'll start to feel their anger. You'll start to feel their physical sickness in their stomach if they're having stomach issues because of stress or anxiety. Sometimes you'll feel like you got punched in the stomach, or it'll feel like a heavy weight on your shoulders, and you'll feel the literal weight in the back of your neck and shoulders, or in another part of your body, depending on where they store energy and where you store energy and how tapped in you are. So once again, it all is based on the individual. Now the next one is clairalience, and this one is clear smell. So just like all the other ones, based on what you experience for yourself and how you experience it is going to be different. So this is clear smelling. This is when you can smell something that's not there. I've had this happen a couple times to me where I've tapped into the energy of another person or a place or something that someone's doing related to like cooking, and I can smell the basic idea of what they're making. I can smell the perfume that they're wearing. If I tap into a spirit, sometimes I can smell like the perfume that they were wearing or what was commonly worn, what they commonly wore when they were living. People can tap in and literally smell anything that's going on within the parameters of where they're tapped into. So you can do this when you astral travel and stuff like that. You can smell the scents around you in the space where you're at. So if you've ever had this, it's a very interesting experience. There's not many people that I know personally who have tapped into clairalience. I've only tapped into it a couple of times. I would like to learn how to do it more, and I'm going to be practicing it. So at some point, maybe I can give some tips on that. Clairgustance is clear tasting, and this kind of goes along similar to the clairalience of clear smelling, because physically taste and smell kind of go hand in hand. And when I've had the clairalience experiences, I've also had some clairgustance and vice versa. So I could tap into someone and I could smell what they're cooking, and I could also taste the basic ingredients of what they're cooking. Like, so if they're making spicy food, I might be able to taste spiciness, or something sweet, I might be able to taste sweetness. I haven't developed it to the point where I can pick out individual ingredients that they're cooking with, but there are people who can do these things. There are people who can taste all kinds of different things, like what they're smelling. They might be able to taste it in their mouth as well, completely, like, and be able to go, you know what, that's lavender, or that's honey. I've had some meditation experiences where I've seen things, because I particularly use clairvoyance, where I've seen things, but I've also had my other 5 senses in line working at the same time, and I've tasted and smelled things at the same time as well. Now, some of them were really really straight up, where I could actually tell what I was tasting, and sometimes they were not as clear. But once again, you can develop both of these senses, especially the clairgustance and clairalience, if you choose to. I don't know a lot of people who use them or who have them, but I do know some people who are tapped into all 6 of their senses, and they can use them all. But usually we have 2 or 3 that are that we're more in tune with, and then the other ones we have to develop a little bit more. And the last one that we're going to talk about is claircognizance. And claircognizance is clear knowing. This is when you just know answers to questions and to things that you shouldn't know the answer to without having to look it up. And it takes practice to develop it. The way that it works for you might be different than the way that it works for someone else. But for me personally, all I do is go, hey, spirit team, what is the answer to this question pertaining to my life or pertaining to someone else? And literally I just sit there and the answer pops in my head like that. And I just know, and then I relay the information. If it's a reading I'm doing for someone, I just relay the info. Sometimes they'll give me just a clear knowing of a sentence or a yes or a no. Sometimes, like, say someone might see an image in their mind with the clairvoyance thing. Sometimes I just know that image. Say we're talking about a fox. Someone might see a fox. I might just know fox. Just know the word fox, okay? So it really depends on the individual, once again, how you experience it. Sometimes it's yes and no answers. Sometimes it's literally knowing essentially a vision or a sentence or an image by the word. It really depends, once again, on the individual. But I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. So the short answer, once again, after that very long one, is yes, you can have spiritual experiences without being able to visualize, because that is literally just one of 6 clair senses that you can develop. And as you get to know yourself and you become aware of your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, etc., of all of your clair gifts, you can develop them then and practice with them. So there are many ways you can have spiritual experiences, and we're going to talk about some other ones as well in another video, but this was just me essentially discussing the 6 ways that are common for you to have a spiritual experience in terms of your senses. In another video, we'll talk about experiences that you can have outside of your person. But once again, these are all going to be experienced with your senses as well. But more often than not, those are your physical senses. This is with your inner senses, your clair senses, because we were talking about, can you have a spiritual experience if you can't visualize? If you guys found this video helpful or useful, please feel free to like, comment, and share it to social media and to your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell if you want to be updated whenever I come out with new information and new content and new videos. Also, lastly, I'm going to have my Instagram link down below, and if you would like to work with me and build your own spiritual practice, or if you just want a reading with me, we can do individual readings as well. The link for booking a free 45-minute strategy call for your own spiritual guidance and mentorship is going to be linked down there, as well as booking for a session with me if you would like an intuitive reading or a mediumship reading. Yeah, so that's about it, and thanks for checking out my channel, guys. Have a good one.